Democrats in Congress are getting creative. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is using a little-known law to force the Republicans' hand and release the Epstein Files.
The law is called the Rule of Five, and it dates back nearly a century. It stipulates that if any 5 members of a Senate committee, in this case the Homeland Security Committee, request information from a government agency, that agency is required to provide the relevant information.
Well, on Wednesday, Schumer and all 7 Democrats on the committee sent a letter to the DOJ requesting it turn over its files on Epstein. Here's what Schumer had to say announcing the move yesterday.
Our request covers all documents, files, evidence, and other materials in possession of the DOJ, the FBI, related to the case of the United States versus Jeffrey Epstein. It's not a stunt. It's not symbolic. It's a formal exercise of congressional power under federal law. And we expect an answer from DOJ by August the 15th. That's what accountability looks like. This is what oversight looks like. And this is what keeping your promises to the American people look like.
So far, no response from the DOJ or the White House. Schumer says if the department ignores the request, they will take the case to the courts. Yeah, good for them. It seems just obvious to me that regardless of what the issue is, even if it was something other than an Epstein files, that members of Congress on a relevant committee, of course, should be able to decide we would like files from the executive branch on whatever subject and get those files. I mean, why should the executive agencies should be accountable to more than just the president? They should be accountable to the Congress that designated the setting up of the agencies, and it's all within the prescripts of the legislative process and the Constitution. Right. So I would be baffled and irritated and angry if it was otherwise. If members of Congress, again, on any issue, it doesn't matter if it's Epstein, doesn't matter if Republicans or Democrats, were saying we want information from this government agency on this, and the government agency said we don't have to do that, that would be crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it is a good thing that they are doing this on the Epstein matter in particular, and I think the rule or the standard is a good one. The fact that you require 5 members of the committee to do it basically alleviates the danger of just somebody making endless sort of vexatious requests and paperwork.
Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, it doesn't allow a majority party to completely thwart the will of the minority party, whichever is in either of those rules. I suppose that the danger here, or the perceived danger, is if the Trump administration doesn't wish to give up the files and Democrats are trying to push them to give up the files, will Senate Republicans try to intervene in some way to stop that from happening? And if they do, then obviously it would completely destroy the precedent or the rule that this is permissible. The reporting that I was reading, which I think was the Associated Press, were contending that this rule has never been tested in court. So you could perhaps, if you wish to, resist it on that basis and say, no, we're not giving it up. But I mean, it seems politically dangerous not to give it up at this point.
Government agencies don't like to release files, regardless of what the files are, or for any reason. They don't like to set precedents that they have to give you things. They're just secrecy inclined as a matter of habit. I complain about this all the time. That comes up again and again with UAP stuff, which we've covered to some degree, and News Nation has covered quite a bit. Why are they not telling us more? Well, they just don't like to tell you things. They don't believe they have to. They're the G-men. That's by tradition. Doesn't mean they necessarily have secrets. They do have some secrets. They have secrets we don't know about. That's why they're secrets. They have secrets we know that we do know about. They're kind of secrets, but we just want to read it.
It's like the Donald Rumsfeld of secrecy quotes here. But anyway,
I'm having some really inspired commentary this morning.
No one unknowns.
Unknown knowns, right?
Yes.
So Democrats want to put Republicans in a position where MAGA influenced GOP people who've all tweeted, release the Epstein files, have to vote against releasing the Epstein files in order to make Trump happy and just marinate in that hypocrisy, which is what's going to happen.
Sure. Well, so you don't think that Republicans would vote for the release? In other words, you think they would?
It's just Massey and maybe a couple other people.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that the Republicans are facing real challenges from their own base here because of some of those comments that you're kind of alluding to for years and years. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance, when he was a senator, and others were always arguing that the withholding of information pertaining to Epstein was disguising some obvious nefariousness. They may be right, they may be wrong. I don't know. I would love to see the Unredacted Files to find out. But the point is that of the level of disconnect between those promises and what the Trump administration has actually done. And yeah, the Democrats are trying to take advantage of that. But if the byproduct of trying to take political advantage is that we all find out more, then I think that's a good thing.
And they could also just release, we want new information, right? Yeah. The idea that lots of materials related to the Epstein situation have already been released over the years, like over and over and over again. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of files. It's actually like impossible to even read them all or process them all. A lot of it is duplicative. A lot of it is not particularly interesting. It's just government forms. Government work generates tons of paperwork. That's why it can be difficult and vexing to make government officials go through, do records requests, try to find everything where you get the same document over and over again. Any of us journalists who've ever done the FOIA process or the public records process, they'll come to you and go like, yeah, that'll be $10,000 to, cost of printing every one of those documents. And be like, okay, sure. Right. And then you find out it is 10,000 pages of documents, 9,875 of which are just useless.
Sure.
Same information over and over again. Mm-hmm. So, because the government is so vast and there's different agencies not always coordinating, so there's a slight validity to the logistical problem of trying to reveal things. But again, we've come back to this so many times. Pam Bondi made it sound like there was new information, new perpetrators to unmask. Right. That's what the people want. And if you just don't have that, you need to explain why you led people to think that
you did
in the Bondi position when you'd already looked at it.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, that's the whole
because you got carried away on Fox News when they asked you about it.
Right, and you want to
admit that.
Gin up or inflame the base, and none of it was there. The only real issue, and it's a genuine issue with Epstein, of course, is any information that would identify victims who have not been, who would wish to remain private. I mean, that's a completely understandable imperative on their part. But beyond that, what is the actual rationale for not disclosing the stuff? That's what is puzzling to me. I think that Trump's commentary on the case has in fact stoked suspicion in some parts, because why is he so defensive about it? Like, for example, the
Comey hoax?
Well, yeah, all of that stuff, and the idea that his kind of own conspiracy theory makes no sense, which is that the Democrats or the deep state somehow like inserted his name into the files when they were in power, but then never released them, and now
they knew that he was going to win, and that his base was going to make him try to release them,
so
and
absurd.
Then he would see, but my name's in here because of what the Democrats did, and now I'm in this bind. It was a sophisticated special ops, deep cover kind of
something like that. It's just an absurd Trumpian attempt to get out of the box into which he's placed himself. He's been hoisted by his own petard.
You do like that phrase?
Absolutely. In any event, President Trump is also going after one of the oldest and most respected senators, all over a tradition Trump calls ancient and unconstitutional. We'll talk about that after the break.